The jungle was silent, but it was not safe. Strange birds cried from the tall trees, and hidden animals moved in the shadows. The young human hunter moved carefully, his eyes sharp, his hands steady. He was alone on this wild planet, and every mistake could mean death. He carried no gun, only a knife and a few traps he had made from rope and metal. The traps were not perfect, but they were the only way to catch food. He needed to eat. He needed to live. So he placed one of the traps between two giant roots, covered it with leaves, and waited. Hours passed, the air grew heavy, and the hunter's stomach was empty. At last, the sound of snapping vines echoed through the trees. The trap had caught something. He rushed forward, ready for his prize, ready for meat to cook over the fire. But what he saw made him freeze. It was not a beast, not a bird, not any animal he had ever seen. It was a girl, an alien girl. Her skin was purple like twilight, glowing faintly as if light lived under her flesh. Her long hair shimmered with violet and black, and her eyes burned like two stars. She was tangled in the ropes, her arms held high, her chest rising and falling fast. Fear filled her face, but it was not the fear of pain, it was the fear of death. She stared at him with wide eyes, and then she whispered words he almost did not understand. "Please, do not eat me." The hunter stepped back, shocked. Eat her? He never thought of such a thing, but he realized she truly believed it. Perhaps her people had told stories of humans as monsters. Perhaps she thought she had been captured for meat. He walked closer, and she pulled against the ropes, trembling. Her voice shook. "I know what you are. Human, killer, eater of flesh." The hunter frowned, gripping his knife. He needed to cut the ropes, but to her eyes the knife looked like a tool of death. Her breath quickened, her body stiff. She believed the next moment would be her last. Her heart pounded so hard he could almost hear it. Her lips whispered again, "Not like this, not like this." The jungle around them grew darker as clouds covered the sun. The air was thick. The vines swayed as if alive. Every second stretched into eternity. The hunter could see her beauty, but also her terror. He wondered if she had family searching for her, if soldiers or hunters were near. If they found him with her, they might kill him without question. Still, he could not leave her. He raised his knife, moving closer. Her eyes closed tight, tears slipping down her cheeks. She believed he was about to kill her, to cut her throat, to taste her blood. But the hunter did not strike. Instead, with one swift motion, he sliced the ropes. The vines snapped free, and the alien girl collapsed to the ground, gasping for air. She looked up at him in shock, confusion in her glowing eyes. Why had he spared her? Why had he not done what she feared? The hunter said nothing. He offered his hand, but she crawled back, still afraid. Why let me go?" she whispered. He gave no answer, only dropped a piece of dried fruit from his bag on the ground. Then he turned away and stepped back into the shadows. The alien girl touched the fruit with shaking hands. She looked at him, then at the food, and her fear mixed with doubt. Could a human show mercy? Could a human share food instead of taking life? But before she could speak again, a sound rolled through the jungle. Deep growls, heavy steps, the smell of beasts hunting. The hunter turned his head, his eyes narrowing. Something worse than fear was coming. The girl realized she was free of the trap, but not free of danger. She looked at the human once more. For the first time, her fear of him was smaller than her fear of the shadows beyond. The hunter gripped his knife, his moose. Please tense. Whatever came next, it was not just her fight anymore. The jungle roared, and the night began to fall. The night pressed heavy on the jungle. Dark clouds covered the stars, and only the sound of insects and distant roars filled the air. The human hunter stood with his knife, his eyes searching the shadows. The alien girl crouched low, still breathing fast, her glowing skin making her look like a ghost between the trees. The growls grew closer, echoing between the trunks. Red eyes flashed in the dark, moving low to the ground. The beasts had smelled weakness. They had smelled fear. The alien girl tried to rise, but her legs shook too much. She had no weapon, only trembling hands. The hunter glanced at her, and in that instant, he made a choice. He could run, save himself, and let the jungle decide her fate. Or he could stand and fight beside her, even though she still looked at him with suspicion. He tightened his grip on the knife. He would not run. The beasts burst from the undergrowth, four-legged, their jaws wide with rows of sharp teeth. Their bodies glistened like wet stone, muscles moving under scaled skin. The first beast leapt and the hunter's blade flashed, The knife cut deep and the beast crashed to the earth, writhing. The others circled, snarling, their tails whipping the air. The alien girl gasped, eyes wide as she saw the human stand firm. He did not abandon her. He fought with every muscle of his body. She stumbled backward, clutching a heavy branch. Her fear turned into something new. If she did nothing, he would die. If he died, so would she. Another beast lunged, teeth snapping. The hunter blocked with his arm, the bite tearing flesh. Pain shot through him, but he stabbed again, driving the knife into its throat. Blood splashed. The jungle floor became slick. The girl swung the branch with all her strength, striking a third beast across the head. The crack of bone echoed, and the monster collapsed, twitching. Together, they stood over the fall. And creatures, panting, bleeding, alive. For a moment, silence returned, only the sound of dripping rain from the leaves. The hunter pressed his hand against his wound, his teeth gritted. The girl stared at him, her voice shaking. You fought for me." He did not answer. He only tore a strip of cloth from his shirt and tied it around his arm. She stepped closer, but still cautious, her eyes narrowing. "You could have left me, but you did not," she said. Her heart pounded with confusion. She had been told humans were cruel, greedy, selfish. Yet this one had risked his life. The hunter finally spoke, his voice low. "Run or fight. I chose fight." It was simple, but the words carried weight. The alien girl lowered the branch, her glowing skin softening like fading light. She still did not trust him fully, but something had changed. He had proven he was not the monster from her stories. She touched her arm where the ropes had bound her earlier. "Why?" she whispered. "Why spare me? Why save me?" The hunter gave no answer, only walked to the trap and reset it with careful hands. To him, words were less important than action. He lit a small fire, flames glowing against the wet air. From his bag, he pulled dried meat and a piece of fruit, placing it on a stone between them. He ate nothing, only sat with his knife resting across his lap. The girl stared at the food, her stomach twisting with hunger. Slowly, she reached out, tasted the fruit, and her eyes widened. It was sweet, not poisoned, not a trick. For the first time, she wondered if she had been wrong, but her pride kept her silent. She looked into the fire, the orange glow reflecting in her violet eyes. "You should know," she said softly. "My people will come for me, and if they see you with me, they will kill you." The hunter listened but did not move. He only fed the fire another stick and kept watch on the dark trees. It was clear he was not afraid. The jungle shifted with the sound of wings overhead. A strange bird screamed, and then silence. The girl felt a chill run through her spine. Danger was never far here, but as she sat near the fire, eating the food he had shared, she felt a strange calm. The human who had captured her had become the human who defended her. She could not explain it, but her fear began to change into something else. When the fire grew low, the hunter stretched out on the ground, his knife close at hand. The girl stayed awake, watching him, her thoughts racing. Could she escape now? Could she run into the jungle and vanish? Her body was weak, her heart torn. She had never been so close to a human before, never seen one bleed to protect her. If she left, would she survive the night? If she stayed, could she trust him? The fire crackled, the rain whispered on the leaves, and in the dark beyond the flames, more eyes glowed, watching, waiting. The night was not finished, and neither was their story. The fire had burned low, only glowing embers left. The human hunter rested with his back against a root, his eyes half closed but never fully asleep. The alien girl sat across from him, hugging her knees, her glowing skin dim under the night sky. Both were tired, but the jungle was alive with sounds that would not let them forget the danger. A sudden crack of branches made them both look up. Not one sound, but many. Leaves trembled, the air grew heavy, and a smell of wet fur drifted on the breeze. The girl's eyes widened, her voice a whisper. "They are coming back." The hunter rose quickly, knife in hand, but this time it was not only beasts. Shapes moved between the trees, tall, heavy, walking on two legs. Their glowing eyes shone like red lanterns in the dark. These were not animals. These were jungle hunters, creatures feared by all who lived near. One stepped forward, its body covered in bone-like armor, its jaw filled with jagged teeth. It carried a spear made of crystal, and it let out a roar that shook the ground. 3 more followed, circling the fire. The alien girl pressed back against a tree, her breath sharp. "These are the flesh eaters," she whispered. "They kill for sport." The human hunter did not flinch. His knife looked small against their weapons, but his stance was firm. The leader of the creatures pointed its spear at the girl, snarling. It was clear she was their target. Perhaps they had been tracking her long before she fell into his trap. The hunter moved to stand in front of her. The creatures hissed, confused, then angry. Why would a human protect an alien? Their roars grew louder, shaking the trees. And then they attacked. The first lunged with its spear. The hunter twisted aside, the tip slashing only air. He struck with his knife, cutting across the beast's arm. It screamed, but another came from the side, claws reaching for his throat. The girl grabbed a burning branch from the fire and swung it, sparks flying. The beast stumbled back, hissing at the flame. The battle was chaos. The hunter's body moved fast, his knife flashing in the firelight. The girl fought with desperation, using stones, sticks, and fire to keep the attackers away. The creatures were strong, but they had not expected resistance. They wanted prey, not a fight. Still, there were too many. The hunter's arm bled again, his chest heaving. The girl cried out as claws tore her shoulder, glowing blood dripping onto the ground. She fell, but the hunter pulled her up, pushing her behind him. "Stay close," he growled, his voice steady even in the storm of violence. A massive roar came from the jungle, louder than the others. The leader beast raised its spear high, the tip glowing with strange energy. It charged, the ground trembling under its weight. The hunter braced, but the girl suddenly stepped forward, her hands glowing brighter than her skin. Light burst from her palms, blinding, burning white and violet. The creature staggered, roaring in pain as its armor cracked. The others hissed in fear, backing away from the light. The hunter stared in shock, his knife frozen in his grip. He had not known, not imagined, that she carried such power inside her. The leader fell to one knee, smoke rising from its body. The girl trembled, her glow fading, her breath ragged. "I cannot hold it. Run," she whispered, her knees shaking. The hunter grabbed her arm, pulling her with him. Together they stumbled into the dark jungle, leaving the burning camp behind. The creatures roared in rage, chasing. Branches whipped their faces, roots caught their feet, but the hunter never let go of her hand. The sound of pursuit thundered behind them, claws scraping bark, teeth snapping. The girl's strength failed, but he dragged her onward. Every step was survival, every breath was a fight. At last they reached a ridge of stone, the ground dropping away into a deep river gorge. The water below roared, black and endless. Behind them the creatures closed in, their red eyes glowing brighter. The hunter looked at the girl, then at the river. They had only two choices, fight and die or leap into the unknown. The girl shook her head, fear shining in her eyes. "They will kill us if we stay," he said simply. He held her tighter, the roar of the river filling their ears. The creatures raised their spears, ready to strike. The hunter whispered one word, "Jump," and together they leapt into the darkness. The river swallowed them whole, cold and violent. The world spun into water and stone, and then everything went black. The river tossed them like broken leaves. Water roared in their ears, pulling them down into darkness. The hunter fought against the current, holding the alien girl close. Her body felt weak, her glowing skin fading as if the river itself was stealing her light. At last, the current threw them against sharp rocks, and they were pushed into calmer water. The hunter dragged her onto the muddy bank, gasping for air. Both lay there, coughing, trembling, but alive. The jungle above was quiet, and the sound of the creatures had vanished. For the first time since the attack, silence returned. The girl sat up slowly, her long hair plastered against her face, her shoulder bled, glowing softly in the night. The hunter tore another strip of cloth from his shirt and pressed it to her wound. She winced but did not push him away. For a moment their eyes met and there was no fear, only exhaustion. "You saved me again," she whispered, her voice weak. The hunter said nothing, only tied the cloth tighter. "You are not what I was told," she continued, her gaze softening. "My people said humans are only hunters, destroyers, takers. But you fight for me." He glanced at her, then at the dark river. "Why were they chasing you?" he asked, his voice steady. The girl looked down, silent for a long moment. Finally she spoke, her words quiet but heavy. "Because I carry something they want. Something dangerous." The hunter waited, his knife still resting in his hand. She touched the glowing wound on her shoulder, her fingers trembling. "My people were betrayed by our own kind," she said. "We were given to the flesh-eaters as sacrifice, but I escaped. They hunt me because I carry the secret of my clan." Her voice cracked and her eyes shimmered in the firelight of the hunter's small flame. "I am the last of my line," she whispered, "and they will not stop until I am gone." The hunter frowned, the words sinking deep. So she was not only a wanderer or a victim, she was someone important, someone marked by fate. Her powers, the burst of light that saved them, were no accident. They were the reason she was hunted. The reason she feared everyone, even him. She looked at him, fear returning to her voice. If they find me with you, they will kill you too, human. But the hunter only shook his head. They already want me dead, he said simply. It makes no difference. The girl blinked, her chest rising and falling. For the first time, she saw not only his strength, but his acceptance of danger. He was not bound to her by duty or by lies. He chose to stand beside her. Her throat tightened, and her voice fell to a whisper. Why? He stared into the fire, his face shadowed. Because alone, we die, he answered. The words were plain, but to her, they meant more than she could admit. The jungle stirred again, the night never truly safe. But near the fire, they found a fragile calm. The girl told him pieces of her story, of her clan who once lived deep beneath the mountains, of their strange power of light, of the betrayal that ended them. Her voice shook, but she did not stop. The hunter listened, his silence steady, his eyes never leaving hers. She finished with a truth that made her tremble. My power is not mine alone. It is a gift of my people, and now I am hunted for it. If I fall, it will die with me. The hunter's jaw tightened, and he stood, scanning the jungle. You will not fall, he said firmly. Before she could answer, a sound cut through the night, the crunch of boots, the hiss of metal against leaves, voices carried on the air, harsh and human. Soldiers. The girl's eyes widened, her body stiffening. Your kind, she whispered, fear returning. They have found us. The hunter grabbed his knife, pulling her behind a tree. But he knew hiding would not save them. The soldiers carried lights and rifles, their armor shining as they pushed through the undergrowth. The girl gripped his arm, her voice desperate. If they see me, they will take me. They will tear me apart to learn my secret. The hunter's eyes narrow. Wed, he knew she was right. To the soldiers, she was not a girl but a weapon. He raised a finger to her lips, silencing her. Then he whispered, Stay close. Do not speak. The soldiers drew nearer, their voices clear. We saw the energy blast. It came from this way, one said. Orders are to bring the alien alive. Kill anyone with her, another replied. The girl's hand shook against his arm, her breath sharp. The hunter leaned closer, his voice low. They will not take you. In that moment, she believed him, even as fear pressed heavy in her chest. The fire flickered low, the river roared behind them, and the soldiers marched closer. The hunter tightened his grip on the knife, ready for what was coming. The girl's secret was out now, and the hunt had only begun. The soldiers moved through the jungle with heavy steps, their lights cut through the trees like sharp blades. Their rifles gleamed in the fire's glow, and their voices carried with cold purpose. The hunter and the alien girl pressed against the roots of a massive tree, their breaths shallow, the girl's glowing skin dimmed as she tried to hide. Her eyes trembled with fear, knowing these men would not treat her as a person. They would treat her as an object, a prize, a weapon to be captured. The hunter felt her hand shaking in his grip, and he squeezed it once, firm. It was not comfort, it was a promise. Spread out, one soldier barked. She's here, the energy reading is strong. Another voice answered, Don't forget the human. Orders say, eliminate him if he's with her. The hunter's jaw tightened. They were not here to save him, they were here to erase him. The soldiers drew closer, their rifles raised. One beam of light swept across the roots, and for a second, it touched the girl's face. Her violet eyes shone like twin stars. Target sighted, a soldier shouted. The jungle exploded with gunfire. The hunter pulled the girl down, bullets tearing through bark, sparks flying from rocks. He grabbed her hand and ran, pulling her into the thick brush. The soldiers cursed, chasing, their lights flashing between trees. Branches whipped their faces, roots caught their feet. The girl stumbled, but did not let go of his hand. Behind them, gunfire lit the night. The roar of rifles mixing with the cries of beasts disturbed from their sleep. The hunter led her down a slope, across slippery stones, deeper into the wild. Stop them! One soldier shouted, and grenades hissed through the air. Explosions shook the ground, fire flashing between the trees. The girl cried out as the shockwave threw her against the earth. The hunter dragged her up again, refusing to slow. His arm bled from a fresh wound, but his grip on the knife was tight. At last, they burst into a clearing. The moonlight revealed cliffs rising high, their faces sharp and wet with moss. The girl gasped, We cannot climb this. But the hunter's eyes scanned the rock and found narrow ledges. It's the only way, he said. They began to climb, their hands raw, their breaths heavy. Below, soldiers stormed into the clearing, shouting, firing. Bullets cracked against stone, chips flying. The hunter shielded the girl as best as he could, guiding her up the jagged wall. Step by step, they rose into the dark sky. Halfway up, the girl slipped, her foot sliding on wet moss. She clung to the rock, her fingers shaking. "I'll fall," she whispered, panic rising. The hunter reached down, caught her wrist, and pulled her up with strength born of desperation. "Do not look down," he growled. "Only climb." At last they reached the top, collapsing onto the ridge. Their chests heaved, their bodies covered in mud and blood. But there was no time to rest. The soldiers were still coming. They could hear the clatter of armor, the scraping of metal against stone. The hunter pulled the girl into the trees beyond the ridge. The jungle grew thicker, the ground soft with moss. Here the air was cooler, but no safer. The girl's voice trembled as she spoke. "They will chase us until they have me. They will never stop." The hunter looked at her, his face set in stone. "Then we never stopped running," he said. But even as he spoke, he knew it could not last. The soldiers were many, and they were only two. The girl stumbled, her wounds slowing her. The hunter carried her across a shallow stream, his steps sure even on slippery rocks. Her head rested against his chest, her voice a whisper. "You risk everything for me. Why?" He did not answer, because the truth was something he did not yet understand. Perhaps it was survival, perhaps it was something deeper. The jungle grew darker, thunder rolling above. Rain began to fall, heavy and cold. The soldiers' lights grew dim in the storm, but their voices still carried. "Keep moving, we'll flush them out." Lightning split the sky, for a moment turning the world white. The hunter pulled the girl into the mouth of a cave hidden behind vines. The roar of the rain masked their movements. Inside, the air was damp and heavy. They collapsed against the stone wall, shivering, listening. Outside, the soldiers cursed, their boots sinking in mud. The storm slowed them, but it would not stop them. The girl turned to the hunter, her eyes wide in the flicker of lightning. "You cannot keep me safe forever," she whispered. "They will take me, or they will kill you." The hunter's eyes met hers, sharp and unyielding. "Then we make them regret the chase," he said. The cave echoed with the storm, and the sound of soldiers searching grew fainter, but both knew the hunt was far from over. The girl touched her wounded shoulder, her skin glowing faintly. Again, her secret still burned inside her, and now the human world wanted it as much as the beast did. The storm raged outside the cave, rain poured in sheets, lightning lit the sky, and thunder rolled across the valley. The hunter sat at the mouth of the cave, knife resting across his knees, eyes fixed on the jungle. The alien girl lay deeper inside, her glowing skin faint in the dark, her breath uneven from exhaustion. For hours they waited, listening. The soldiers' voices faded, carried away by the storm. The jungle grew quiet again, but silence did not mean safety. The hunter knew this, and the girl felt it too. When dawn broke, the rain slowed, leaving mist heavy in the air. The hunter helped the girl stand, her wounds still raw but healing. "We move," he said simply. She nodded, though her eyes showed doubt. Her body was weak, yet she followed. They climbed down from the ridge, moving through dripping vines and soft earth. Birds cried, strange creatures slithered in the shadows. The world seemed alive again after the storm, but danger was never far. By midday, smoke curled in the distance. The hunter stopped, raising his hand for silence. The girl peered past him, her eyes narrowing. "Not soldiers," she whispered. "Something else." They crept closer, and through the trees, they saw a small camp. Two figures sat by a fire, humans, not soldiers. One looked up, scar across his cheek, eyes sharp and familiar. The hunter froze. He knew this man. "An old ally?" the girl asked quietly. The hunter's jaw tightened. "Yes," he said, though his voice carried no warmth. The man by the fire rose with a grin. Well, I thought you were dead," he said, "and now here you are with her." His eyes lingered on the alien girl, filled with hunger, not of food, but of greed. The hunter stepped forward, knife still in hand. "We need shelter," he said flatly. Nothing more. The man's grin widened. "Of course, old friend, you'll find rest here," he said, but his tone carried poison. The girl's skin prickled. She felt danger in his smile, but the hunter led her into the camp, weary from the night's chase. They sat by the fire, warmth spreading through their cold bodies. The man's companion, another human with restless eyes, offered food. The hunter ate little, but the girl accepted a piece of fruit, hunger breaking her guard. She looked at the man with the scar, her voice soft but wary. "You know him," the hunter nodded, his eyes never leaving the fire. "Once," he said, "we hunted together long ago." The man chuckled. "And now you hunt something else," he said, "something worth more than meat or gold." The girl stiffened. "What do you mean?" she asked. The man leaned forward, his grin sharp as a blade. "You think I don't see what she is," he said to the hunter. "She glows, she carries power, the kind others would pay dearly for." The hunter's grip on his knife tightened. "She is not yours," he said coldly. The man's laughter echoed in the jungle. "Not mine. Everything in this place belongs to those strong enough to take it," he spat. Before the hunter could rise, soldiers stepped out from the trees, rifles aimed. The girl gasped, pulling back. The man with the scar spread his hands, smiling. "You led them away last night, but I led them back to you, old friend. They offered me freedom, and I gave them you." The betrayal cut deeper than any wound. The hunter's heart burned, but his body was already surrounded. The soldiers moved fast, grabbing the girl, forcing her to the ground. She struggled, her hands glowing faint, but they struck her with metal rods, draining her strength. The hunter roared, lunging forward, but the butt of a rifle smashed against his head. He fell to his knees, blood dripping, his knife lost in the mud. The man with the scar crouched beside him, voice like poison. "You should have left her. You should have left this place. Now you lose everything." The hunter's vision blurred, but his rage was clear. "I will kill you," he whispered, his voice like stone. The man only laughed, stepping back. The soldiers dragged the alien girl away, her cries sharp, desperate. Her violet eyes met the hunter's one last time, before she vanished into the jungle with them. Her voice echoed in his ears. "Do not let them take me." Then she was gone. The hunter was left broken in the mud, rain falling again as the storm returned. The man with the scar looked down at him, shaking his head. "You always fought for the wrong side," he muttered, and then he vanished into the trees, leaving the hunter alone. Pain throbbed through his skull, his body weak, but the fire inside him burned hotter than ever. They had taken her, they had betrayed him, and now he would stop at nothing to bring her back. The jungle was silent, the rain washing away blood. The hunter pushed himself up slowly, his hand finding his knife again. His breath was ragged, his vision blurred, but his will was sharp. The betrayal had cut him down, but it had not ended him. The hunt was not over. It had only begun. The jungle was heavy with mist. Rain dripped from the leaves, and the ground was soft with mud. The hunter moved through the shadows, his body bruised, his head still aching from the blow, but his eyes were sharp, burning with fire. They had taken her, and he would not stop until she was free. He followed the tracks left by soldiers, deep prints in the wet earth. Broken branches showed their path. The trail led to an ancient ruin hidden in the jungle, stone walls covered with moss and vines. The soldiers had made it their base. Lights glowed inside, rifles gleamed, and voices echoed. The hunter crouched at the edge, watching. Through the broken walls he saw her, the alien girl, bound by glowing chains, her skin dim, her eyes filled with pain. Soldiers circled her, their leader barking orders. "Keep her alive. She is worth more breathing than dead. But if she resists, break her." The hunter's grip on it, his knife tightened. He had no army, no weapons, only his rage and his will. But sometimes that was enough. He slipped through the ruins, silent as the night. One soldier strayed too far from the group. The hunter's hand struck quick, knife flashing. The soldier fell without a sound, his weapon now in the hunter's hands. For the first time, he carried more than a blade. He crept closer, inch by inch. The girl's eyes flicked up, catching a shadow in the dark. Hope flickered in her chest. She knew he had come. The soldiers prepared their machines, strange devices that hummed with energy. They wanted to draw her power out, to tear her secret from her body. The hunter moved fast, stepping into the firelight, rifle raised, shots cracked. 2 soldiers dropped, chaos erupted. The leader roared, "Kill him!" Gunfire filled the ruins, stone shattering, dust rising. The hunter rolled behind a wall, firing back. Each shot was steady, each movement sharp. He was only one man, but he fought like a storm. The alien girl pulled against her chains, her voice rising. "Free me, and we can end this together." The hunter dashed through the hail of bullets, cutting the lock with his knife. The chains fell and light burst from her body once more. Her power burned bright, white and violet, pushing back the soldiers. The ground shook, walls cracked, her light tore through rifles, shattered armor, and blinded eyes. The soldiers screamed, some fleeing, others crushed under falling stone. The leader stood his ground, rage burning in his face. "You cannot stop us," he shouted. "Her power belongs to us all." The hunter charged, knife in hand. The leader swung his weapon, but the hunter's blade found flesh. They clashed in the heart of the ruin, steel against steel, strength against fury. The alien girl's light lit the battlefield, her voice echoing, "Enough." With one final burst, her power consumed the ruin. The walls exploded outward, the machines melted, and the storm above broke into silence. When the light faded, only the hunter, the girl, and the fallen remained. The soldiers were gone, scattered or dead. The ruin stood broken, smoke rising from its stones. The hunter dropped his knife, his chest heaving. The girl stood beside him, her glow dim but steady. She touched his arm, her voice soft. "You came for me." He met her gaze, steady. "I said they would not take you." For a long moment they stood in the silence of the broken ruin. Then the girl looked to the horizon, her eyes filled with both sorrow and hope. "My people are gone, my clan destroyed, but my secret lives still in me," she said. "They will come again, others will hunt me, but now I am not alone." The hunter nodded. "Alone, we die. Together, we fight," he said, the same words he had spoken before. This time she smiled faintly. Her fear was gone, replaced by trust. The jungle wind carried away the smoke. The sun broke through the clouds, light streaming down on the two figures. They were wounded, weary, but alive. The girl turned to him, her voice low. "What happens now?" The hunter looked into the trees, his face unreadable. "Now we run, now we fight, now we live," he said. And with that, they stepped away from the ruins, leaving the battlefield behind. The jungle closed around them, but the silence was no longer empty. It carried the promise of a new path. The hunter and the alien girl, bound by fear, forged by battle, now walked as one. Their story was not an ending but a beginning, for in the deep wild of the universe, nothing was stronger than the will to survive together.